So without further delay, I am going to introduce our final presentations of these sessions for this morning, which is, I'm actually looking forward to myself as well, Telegram versus Facebook. Digital technologies in online learning environment and exploratory comparative study at Telegram versus Facebook. And the presenters, when they share their screen, my screen goes up. So this is Dr. Mahan Poorhosseinzadeh from Australian Institute of Business, Peyman Abkhezr from Griffith University, and Alicia Stanway from Australian Institute of Business. So welcome you all, but your slides, it's somehow, I don't know, it's not fully displayed.
Hi, Sabi. I just, sorry, let me just share it one more time.
Yes. Okay, that's better. So now I can see the slides, and yeah, so I will let Dr. Mahan to start the presentations, and we will have the discussions and comments at the end.
Thank you, Sabi, and thank you everyone for joining my presentation today. Yes, I'm Mahan Poorhosseinzadeh from Australian Institute of Business, and as Sabi introduced my colleagues, I'm working with Dr. Stanway and Dr. Abkhezr from Griffith University and also from Australian Institute of Business. Okay, so I just want to give you a little bit of background to our research. So, in an online environment, usually a student engagement in both online and in person, it's always a student engagement as has been always one of the key concerns for higher education, especially for online providers. And this is particular relevance to AIB. So if you are not familiar with the Australian Institute of Business, we are fully online MBA provider. Just give you a little bit of background to our cohorts. Our students are mainly mature aged, as Celeste also mentioned. We have almost a similar kind of cohort. We have mainly, mature aged, students. They are full-time workers. Often they are, they are at executive levels. They are very busy with their lifestyles, dealing with the challenges of balancing work and life, and on top of that, they would like to, continue their education. So very similar to, our previous presentation. So I would like to move on to the literature a little bit and how engagement has been, defined in the literature. As you can see, I also have my slide that, as it has been defined, engagement is refers to a student's emotional, behavioral, cognitive connection to their study, which has direct impact on their learning experience, and particularly in its influences by a sense of belonging. However, when we shift into online context, engagement has different meaning due to the lack of face-to-face contact and because of the way in which teaching and learning are mediated through technology. Prior research has also shown that online students usually feel less integrated or less engaged with institutions, and they feel that they are a lower priority than campus-based. On the other side, also, studies shows that SNSs have capacity to engage a student in a way that enhances the overall learning experience. But very limited studies have compared with the use of cloud-based instant messaging, and which are an integral part of our, online education and design of these projects. Therefore, our intended this study is in an fully online learning environment, is to understand how might digital technologies such as cloud-based instant messaging versus social network sites contribute to a learning environment where students are actively engaged in their learning. Okay, I give you a little bit of, again, background of our research design and what we have done, and I would like also to share the outcomes of, the research. But very briefly, I know this should be very brief. So we attempted to create a learning environment that promotes a kind of sense of belonging and stimulate active engagement. Essentially, we have 6 classes in this particular subject, and we split the 3 classes into class-based Facebook closed group and also other 3 classes in the class-based Telegram group. We provided an etiquette guideline, and we explained the nature of the research project, and they engaged with their own platform for a period of 8 weeks, which was the length of the subject. And essentially, this is what we found from this research. Our finding demonstrated a significant dislike for Facebook compared to previous research. So both in terms of the frequency of engagement in posts, but also in the focus group data that we have collected from, from the participant. This drilled down to 2 main reasons. First, social distraction. So if you would like to see why they, for example, look for this kind of a platform, they usually go in the last minutes, they looking for a answer quickly. So for them, mostly it was a kind of social distraction, because if they, for example, join Facebook, they may be distracted with lots of other things, except for example, their answer to the question that they are looking for. And second one was hesitation to mix personal with professional networks. And also, to a lesser extent, some participants didn't have Facebook and were excluded from the outset. So our focus group data supported the use of Telegram as an effective tool for 3 key main reasons. First one was the collaboration, which leads to a sense of belonging. For example, they were able to chat with peers, no photos, but tagged ability, support at the assessment 11th hour, quick confirmation, fun and building relationship, and most importantly, they were very focused on the subject content. So from our analysis, it shows that they stayed 99% of the time on the topic, but celebrated, for example, with wine when they completed an assignment. The second reason was functionality. So instant messaging and access to notification without needing to log into computer. And the third reason was responsiveness. They could get a quick answer from their other peers or from their OLF and or their subject coordinator. That was the main 3 reasons that show us that this is very effective. However, there was some drawbacks. Where keeping track of, for example, communication due to the significant frequency of the comments and challenges of learning a new platform. So most of them were very, it was the first time they downloaded the Telegram, but because it was a, it was a very great terms and condition for the confidentiality, we also provided all those details, and they were happy to download the app. Not part of our research design, but we know that the students commonly created their own WhatsApp groups before even commencing to this first subject, due to the past-based subject that we prepared them for their MBA. So in an ad hoc way, focus group participants were keen to comment on the enjoyment from being a part of those self-initiated groups. And so we found that echoes the findings from Telegram informal student collaboration. They could create their own membership and build networks. In that way, easy to use and quick responses. Yet we also know that as these groups progress to each subject, the name of the groups takes on a new name, but the support network remain, and because of this, we felt a great sense of connection with the cohort. And that is a part of the project that we really, we were mostly interested in doing further research. What was the end result and takeaway, especially for AIB? At AIB, to ensure we continue innovative, we adopt a test and learn approach. This project was no different. So we learned that while we were happy to support the student in creating their own WhatsApp groups, and that's a short-term involvement from the OLF when invited, it was very effective. But we have opted not to support the use of external platforms, and instead we continue to focus on utilizing our existing learning management system, or LMS, which is Moodle at AIB, to ensure we deliver on our online learning strategy. So while our research indicates a general support for cloud-based instant messaging over social media platforms, we do caution that instructors need to be clear on what they aim to achieve to incorporating digital technology outside of their own LMS prior to selecting their platform as across the board. The student also indicated the lack of coherence in knowing where to ask questions, because they had a couple of platforms such as Class Forum or Webinar Hub, and as well as we had webinars and external cloud-based tools. Perhaps too much choice can stifle effective communication. So this was actually our findings from this research, and our research team have been a part of other SNS and cloud-based projects with great success over the last decade. Same as literature also confirm the same findings. We have seen success in the literature, so they have. We know that they have merit, but certainly again, caution researcher and learning designer to be clear on the objectives, and then identifying which platform is most likely to fulfill those objectives. Yeah, this is the end of our findings, but something I would like to have some time for collaboration, and this is my two major questions. I would like to know, lead us to my question specifically about what external LMS platform do you use, and how have they been effective to create a sense of belonging. I also would like to have your advice on publishing our research, because we have completed this research. We have the first draft, so based on the scope of our research, I'm really interested to see if you have any suggestions. Thank you so much, and yeah, if you have any question, please let me know.
That was great, Dr. Mahan, because it's actually reminded that I was doing a research in last lockdown environment, looking at general public's experiences of using digital technologies and how it impacted their well-being from, looking from health point of view. So trying to link of their experience of using technology in the online life environment
okay, great.
So that life environment actually brings, if they're doing a study, if they're working from home, homeschooling the kids and so on. So yeah, definitely interesting. And with your two questions, I think yes, it's worth publishing, definitely, and I'm happy to have further conversations offline about that. In terms
Great, thank you.
I'm also in the process of writing that paper from our own research as well. I was going to ask you, because from from my research, because I think when we conducted research with SAP around digital safety component as well, it was so interesting to find out from your cohort that, well, Facebook wasn't the thing for them. So whether it was, whether is there something that you picked up, it's around the, the safety, the digital safety linked to it, or it's just not the thing?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it's both. So some of the students really didn't have Facebook, and that was their really main concern. All of them, they were concerned about, they didn't want to mix their personal and professional networks, and also from our OLF, from our online learning facilitators, which are, considered at university usually they are tutors. So they were really reluctant to join this group. So as a subject coordinator, we had to make sure we are consistent and we share this similar amount of information in all groups. For example, myself and my colleague, Dr. Stanway, who is also here with us today. So we were just wanted to moderate all of these groups and make sure our, if even the OLFs, they don't even communicate with the student, we still were trying to communicate and post some information. And it was again interesting that OLFs were not willing to add anything into the Facebook group, but we could see, those OLFs who were in, for example, in the cloud-based instant messaging, any kind of platform, for example, Telegram, they were really responsive to the, to the messages. Again, it was very interesting for us, but we could see a huge difference between these two cohorts. And I think that was, our major finding, which was very interesting. Almost nothing, no discussion in the Facebook group.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I can visualize myself being one of those probably, but yeah, it depends on, the cohort you're talking about. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I think one of the softwares that we can use is Flipgrid. It actually integrates with Moodle. And as there's a rise in TikTok these days, so that's kind of platform it can provide videos. So they can answer not by writing or texting. So they can actually make a short video on what they want to talk about or answer to the peers. So that would be more interesting. And it actually integrates with Moodle well. So looking at that will be beneficial. Maybe it will work in long term, and the university will allow us to use that. Sometimes we'll use that at USQ.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much, Nirmal. This is a good, great suggestion.